So today we're going to do a what if movie idea for The Flash. And convenient that this video is coming out during the height of the current Flash film, if you can even call that a height in any particular way. What I wanted to do with this idea is to actually give him a proper Flash movie and not necessarily just dive straight into the multiverse, even though there would be multiversal aspects of this story. It's not just going to be about jumping right into a new dimension and dealing with other variations of our well-known characters. So a couple of important details I would like to give you about my Flash before we even move forward is, number one, Flash would be Wally West. In my world, in my version, Wally is the first and the main Flash. I like Barry Allen, but Wally West is just a childhood favorite of mine. I love the fact that he was the main Flash in the Justice League animated series, so I would go with that route. And number two, more or less, Wally West would be given the same type of origin treatment that Barry is given. Wally will have seen his mother die from these really bright flashes of red and yellow, which happens to be the futuristic him versus Eobard Thawne. His father will go to prison for the wrongful murder of his wife. So I would say about 80 to 90% of the origin will translate from Barry to Wally, but there might be some Wally origins from comic books that might make its way into this version. So by the start of this film, Wally will have been the Flash for about a year, maybe a little bit longer. He is aware of other super powered presences out in the world. He knows of Superman, he knows of Batman, he knows of Wonder Woman. He just hasn't met them yet. And in the beginning of the film, it's actually going to be Wally West Flash taking out Captain Cold and Heatwave during a bank robbery. Something simple, something relatively easy. So I would like to hit the nail on the head to give you this idea of superheroes are here. They're here to stay, but with that comes villains. They're always going to have villains, and Flash has had his fair share of villains so far. Are there more than just Captain Cold and Heatwave? Well, I haven't gotten into those details, but regardless, you know he's got some. That would maybe be about the first 5 to 10 minutes of the film, and he makes relatively easy work of Cold and Heatwave. The Flash is a relatively loved hero of the city, mainly because when people get the chance to meet him and talk to him, Wally is a very comedic person, so people find him funny, but also too, when there is danger, 90% of the time he's been able to clear it just like that. There's not much danger to the citizens of the city because there hasn't been a big enough villain to do so. It's not like a Superman where buildings might get destroyed, same with Wonder Woman, or Batman, whereas in Gotham you are never going to escape crime. So when it comes to a city who has a hero, right now Central City is feeling the best of them all. So is Wally West. Wally is feeling very confident in his abilities. He's been pretty confident on how he's been able to deal his personal life and his crime fighting life. As for keeping up with crime and being able to stop so many threats, not only is it because he's super fast and he can get anywhere he wants in the city within the blink of an eye, but he's got really two big advantages. First of all, he works at a forensics lab in the Central City Police Department, where he does in fact have a forensics degree, so he hears a lot of chatter about crimes and about anything that could be happening in the city. And then his girlfriend Linda Park is a television reporter for a news channel, so he also gets a lot of information, a lot of news, if you will, on things that could be happening in the city. So here is where I'm going to make some changes to someone very specific. The villain of this story is going to be Mirror Master. I wanted to give him a villain that would actually challenge his mentality in the sense that he can no longer just speed blitz people. He now has to actually find a workaround, and he's got to think before he moves. So if you don't know, there are two Mirror Masters. The first Mirror Master is Sam Scudder, and then the second Mirror Master is Evan McCulloch. In this story, the main villain is going to be Evan McCulloch, Mirror Master, although Sam Scudder will be mentioned. Whereas Sam Scudder was a criminal, a thief in the comic books, I'm going to change his origin where he's actually a scientist, a part of Star Labs, and Sam Scudder actually creates the Mirror Master technology. Whereas with Evan McCulloch, his origin will somewhat stay the same. He is from Scotland, and he is a highly professional assassin who is given jobs to take out specific people for the highest bidder. So someone very specific hires this assassin to take out Sam Scudder, probably because they want Sam Scudder's newest technology in mirror bending for themselves. So Evan McCulloch goes to Central City. He goes to the particular lab that Sam is located at to take him out and steal his technology. But when Evan gets there, he notices that the office is very dark. Things have kind of been toppled over, and on the ground is the technology that he could only assume his client wanted. What it seems to be is a belt with a really bright white LED light circling around the belt. Scattered on the ground around this belt are shards of glass, possibly from a broken mirror or any reflective substance in general. The pieces of glass, especially closest to the belt, are moving very strangely. They're kind of molding around space and time, which is a really weird thing for Evan to be seeing. He's just an assassin. He doesn't ever deal with stuff like this. Not finding Sam, what Evan would do is he would grab the belt. He literally shapeshifts and absorbs into a piece of glass on the ground and disappears. Evan now gets transported into the mirror dimension, which is literally a dimension that can help you go anywhere, anytime. You can see pieces of history from any time frame. You can go to different dimensions and different universes. You can teleport to other parts of the world. You can virtually do anything in this dimension. You just need to be smart enough to know how to traverse it and not fracture anything important. What this belt has is like a memory detector. It's a feature of whoever utilizes the belt, whoever's touching the belt can also utilize all your memories. So it makes it easier for you to be able to re-watch past memories or to go back in time to other versions of yourself. In Evan's comic book origin, it's simply that he is adopted. His parents had them when they were far too young. They couldn't take care of a kid, so they had to let him go. Well, in this origin, where I'm going to change it, is he actually shares a similar past to Wally West. His parents were murdered when he was a kid, which drew him to this dangerous life of mercenary assassin work. But as he's looking through one of these mirrors, he is seeing the memory of his parents dying. He was so young that he wasn't capable of comprehending what was going on to them. All he sees is blurs of red light surrounding his mother and father, in which after the blurs of red light disappeared, his mother and father were dead. Not having that memory from when he was a kid, not being able to comprehend that, the only thing he was able to comprehend was his fear of the situation. He now keeps replaying that memory, like, I don't remember this red streak being here. And what the belt also does is catalog information. When he says that, still holding on to the belt starts to search for portals and mirrors with information about red streaks, and he starts to see that very familiar red streak come from Wally West's Flash. He is seeing windows and mirrors of the Flash from the past year, saving people or fighting crime, and this is where Evan starts to make the connection that the thing that killed his parents is more than likely the Flash, and this makes Evan very angry. Sam was clearly sucked into this dimension world, and you don't know where he went. That would definitely be something that is dealt with in my future story, but that's all that's going to be said about Sam for the rest of this story. As for Evan, now that he does not care about the contract from before, he stays in this dimension world, puts on the Mirror Master belt, and continues to learn everything he potentially can about this newfound technological power. So this wouldn't be an overnight or a couple of day thing where Evan learns everything he needs to learn and then just goes out and attacks the Flash. This is actually about 1 or 2 months later, and this actually takes place during the Washington, D.C. incident in the Trinity film. While Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are off fighting Cersei, remember how I told you guys you would see flashes of red light saving children from Washington, D.C. and getting them out of the city? Well, what would happen is after the Flash saves all these children and brings them to some sort of safe ground that is being held by the military outside of the city, on military trucks or cars or any reflective material around Wally, he would start to see somebody in these reflections looking at him in the corner of his eye. And every time he would go and look over at that mirror or window, that person would be gone. And he's going to start to notice it more and more as this story goes on. He would return to Central City, and he's just noticing that throughout the day, throughout all this time, somebody is watching him and it's not stopping. And he's now feeling really uneasy. In the forensics lab, late at night, pretty much all by himself, Mirror Master has been watching the Flash, trying to keep tabs on him even when he's moving super fast, trying to figure out what his secret identity is so he can really attack the man and not the alter ego. Wally starts to hear murderer. You killed my family. Someone who is hatefully angry at somebody else for doing something to them or someone connected to them. Anything they would say is generally what's being said in this situation. The irony here is him calling Wally a murderer, even though that's what Evan has been doing for his whole life, being an assassin. But, you know, we'll forget about that. From everything reflective in his office, Mirror Master pops out of every single thing. There's like 15 Mirror Masters surrounding Wally West. So in his normal work attire, he starts speeding around the office, trying to avoid this Mirror Master dude, but Mirror Master keeps making more replicas of himself from other reflective devices. And eventually they grab onto Wally and they suck him into a mirror dimension. This is where Wally sees what Evan saw for the first time, and he's seeing so many mirrors and windows, it's overwhelming. And this is where you get specific dialogue from Mirror Master and Wally, where Mirror Master shows him the memory of his parents dying, and he blames Wally for their death. Wally is trying to convince him that was not me, 100%, got nothing to do with it. But Mirror Master, Evan, obviously doesn't believe him. So after a long piece of dialogue and Wally trying to figure out why he's doing what he's doing, Mirror Master kicks him back through the mirror into his office. Not an alternate timeline. Don't worry, it's the exact same story. Back in his office is destroyed. Looking around, he no longer sees Mirror Master following him. He races back home and tries to figure out a way to stop a guy with these mirror capabilities. He starts to notice a lot of things throughout the day. There's terrible press about the Flash online. People are almost afraid of him when he slows down and they're backing away from the Flash and they don't want to be anywhere near him. Even his girlfriend is very mad at him, leaving him messages like, "Something is wrong with you. Get your head on straight. Don't see me until you fix your problems." Turns out time does work a little bit differently in the mirror dimension. Flash has actually been there for 2 weeks. That's how fast time moves there. So for 2 weeks, a lot has changed. Mirror Master has learned how to be in multiple places at once, since that is a big part of his power. While he was taking on Wally in his office, bringing him in the mirror dimension, explaining his whole master plan, he was also at the same time ruining his life without Wally even knowing it for the past 2 weeks. Now, Mirror Master can use projections of other people, but he had to be smart about it. He had to use it from specific distances where it ever so clearly looked real. He had to do it at specific angles so that people wouldn't walk around and notice it's a mirror vision. So over the past 2 weeks, he's been doing things that have been ruining the Flash's reputation. The crime that the Flash has been shown to be stopping in the city, Mirror Master has made reflections of the Flash doing the crime that he's actually been stopping in the city, which is making people think, oh, what if he's not as good as everyone thought he was? So his life has just so suddenly fallen apart, and he's got no plan on stopping this. So the Flash just decides, I'm going to take this guy one-on-one, see if I can beat him. He's already been ruining so much about me. Let me just see if I can stop this once and for all in this moment. Flash just pretty much gets bullied in this fight. Mirror Master just has way too many illusion, teleportation, dimensional tricks that are just beating the Flash no matter how fast he is. He can't keep up with it. Their fight gets taken into the mirror dimension, and then Mirror Master kicks him, punches him, whatever he does, through a mirror. It's our world, but here's the catch. He's moving so fast that every single person around him is moving in slow motion. Mirror Master tells him that this is a never-ending loop. You are in a world where you're going to move so fast forever that you will come to die eventually. You'll never be able to do anything about it. You are locked in here. This is your death sentence. Wally, in that moment, utilizes the fact that he's already moving so fast. How about if he just kicked it up a notch and went a little bit faster? He is moving so fast, he's capable of being in multiple spots at once. And after accomplishing a feat like this, his power just trumps any strategic move Mirror Master might have had. So after defeating Mirror Master, and they're now on the astral plane of the mirror dimension, he takes the belt off of Evan. And now with the belt in Flash's hand, he starts to look around and all the mirrors start to change more personally to him. He starts to see some of his adventures as the Flash that he's had over the past year. He even starts to see portals of other Flashes, which makes Wally believe, I don't think I'm the only one out there. But most importantly, what he sees is how this film began. With Evan seeing the death of his parents from red flashes of light, Wally sees the death of his mother from red flashes of light, which he has remembered and he has locked down in his mind, doesn't like thinking about it. But this is where he really clues in, wow, that does look like my red blur of light when I run. But all of a sudden, in that mirror, he starts to see red, but then glimpses of yellow. Well, I think we all know what that means. So leaving the mirror dimension and putting Evan in prison, this is obviously not the last time we will see Mirror Master. Wally explaining everything that happened with his girlfriend and her coming to a complete understanding of the situation now needs to figure out how he's going to fix some of his reputation with the city. As for the Mirror Master belt, the Flash decides to hang on to it. He doesn't think he can trust anybody else with this power, and he doesn't want to give it to any big type corporation. So that would effectively be the overall end of the Flash film. Although I think I should mention this, after moving that fast, after doing something like that, Wally is still really young into his career. That would be something that would tire him out for a long extended time. Just like usual with these videos, I give you some Easter eggs and an ending or an end credit scene that would show up in this film. And a couple of things you would have is the direct tie-in of the Flash saving the children from Washington, D.C. in the Trinity film. The very important person who hired Evan to take out Sam and steal his mirror technology is obviously Lex Luthor. As we could see at the end of the Trinity film, he was developing his own Legion of Doom. He clearly wants this Mirror Master technology for himself, and knowing Lex Luthor, he has many reasons on why he would need this tech. The end credit scene you would get for this film is the Flash sitting on a building with his legs dangling over the edge. He's got like 2 large pizzas and he's just eating it by himself because we all know he's got to eat as much as possible. Ever so slowly, we see a caped figure just float behind him, cross-armed, staring at him. This is where Wally West nerds out. Oh my god, Superman, I can't believe I'm meeting you for the first time. And Superman's got the smirk on his face, you know, it's a pleasure to meet you. Superman says, I've recently heard about some stuff that's been going on around here. The reputation hasn't been the best. I was wondering if I should have even come here in the first place. Wally basically says, no, that's a misunderstanding. That wasn't me. I promise. I'm one of you. I'm a good guy. This is where Superman does ask Wally to be part of a Justice League. But there you go. That is an idea for a Flash movie. So now let me know in the comments below what you think of some of the ideas and what character you would like for me to do next. I already have a couple of stories that it is going to go from here, but if you guys have someone specific, I can try to get to it and try to create a well thought out story. That is it for this one, everyone. Hope you all enjoyed it. So until next time, I will talk to you all very soon.